For centuries, Japan had an emperor, but eventually, another figure would hold the real political and military power, the shogun. The emperor remained the symbolic heart of Japan, but political power increasingly depended on warriors and powerful clans. Across the provinces, a new warrior class was rising, the samurai. Powerful families built private armies, fought for land, and gradually became more influential than the imperial court. Then Japan was torn apart by a brutal civil war between two great clans, the Taira and the Minamoto. At the center of the Minamoto victory stood a calculating leader, Minamoto no Yoritomo. Yoritomo established his power in Kamakura, far from the traditional imperial center of Kyoto. A new political order emerged, the Kamakura Shogunate, a government dominated by warriors. The shogun was technically a military commander. In practice, the office became the center of political power. Then Japan faced an enemy unlike anything its warriors had seen before, the Mongol Empire. Two Mongol invasions threatened Japan. Both failed, helped by fierce resistance and devastating storms. But victory came at a cost. The Kamakura government struggled to reward its warriors, and its political foundations began to weaken. The Kamakura shogunate would fall, another would rise, then another. For centuries, Japan's warrior governments would shape the Kamakura shogunate eventually collapsed. In its place, a new warrior government emerged under the Ashikaga family. The Ashikaga shogunate ruled from Kyoto, bringing military power back to the imperial capital. But the Ashikaga shoguns never controlled Japan as tightly as the Tokugawa would later do. Then the Own War devastated Kyoto and helped plunge Japan into decades of civil conflict. Japan entered the Sengoku period, the age of warring states. Regional warlords, known as daimyo, built armies, captured castles, and fought constantly for territory. Then one warlord began changing the game. Oda Nobunaga. Nobunaga used firearms, ruthless strategy, and political ambition to destroy rival powers and reshape Japan. After Nobunaga's death, his former subordinate, Toyotomi Hideyoshi, continued the campaign to unify Japan.
By the end of the 16th century, Japan was finally fully close to political unification.
But the final victor was Tokugawa Ieyasu, a patient strategist who waited decades for his moment. 3 years later, Ieyasu became shogun. The Tokugawa shogunate had begun, and Japan entered more than 2 centuries of relative peace. Under the Tokugawa, Japan entered an unusually long period of internal peace. Castles remained, samurai remained, but large-scale civil war largely disappeared.
Edo grew into one of the world's great cities, filled with merchants, craftsmen, theaters, restaurants, and millions of stories.
But peace changed the samurai. Many became administrators and bureaucrats rather than battlefield warriors. Japan also restricted foreign contact, carefully controlling trade and outside influence. But while Japan remained relatively isolated, the outside world was changing rapidly.
In 1853, American Commodore Matthew Perry arrived with steam-powered warships and demanded that Japan open its ports.
The sight of modern warships exposed a terrifying problem. Japan's old military order was facing a new technological world. Political factions began arguing over how Japan should respond. The authority of the shogunate weakened rapidly. In 1867, Tokugawa Yoshinobu, the 15th and final Tokugawa shogun, returned governing authority to the emperor. But the transfer of power did not immediately bring peace. Civil war erupted between forces supporting the old order and the new imperial government. The imperial forces prevailed. The centuries-old military government was dismantled, and the age of the shogun came to an end. Japan was entering the Meiji era. The samurai age was ending, the emperor's government was returning to the center, and a new Japan was about to emerge. For centuries, warriors ruled Japan. Then, almost overnight, the old order disappeared.